If we are fixated to goodness, how can we help anyone to be liberated? Even mind doesn't grasp for mind itself. Even not grasping doesn't grasp for the non-grasping itself. Whatever that is setting up to grasp, you have to declare renunciation from all of this, because it's always there. Let's purify all that kind of karma. It's a program which is setting up to grasp something. This is a kind of something that holds you back. Open up in a way that doesn't grasp for itself, in the way that the non-grasping doesn't grasp for itself, in the way that is unlimited. That which is boundless. Even it's clear sometimes, not clear sometimes. When you look and see and know anything, it doesn't matter. Don't be stuck with just the concrete thing that you see. Step back from the stepping back itself. Samsara of realms of existence overlapped within the air, the space. They overlaying and overlapping in the air. Therefore, step back from the stepping back itself. In this way, it will bypass the concrete and the abstract, form and formlessness, without grasping for the stepping back itself. Stepping back in a way that doesn't grasp for the non-grasping itself. Step back from the stepping back itself, not grasping for the non-grasping itself. Release out of form and formlessness. It will purify all the realms of existence overlapping in the space, earth, air, water and fire. Release out, release out. Step back from the stepping back itself, not grasping for the non-grasping itself. Release out. This will be helping through unwinding and releasing simultaneously. Mind discarding mind itself, stepping back from the mind itself. Mind doesn't grasp for mind itself. Step back from the stepping back itself, releasing out from the form and formlessness, from all things, releasing out from the leasing itself. In this way, it's possible to help others. If you set up projecting forward, it's like setting up a wall to each other. Step back from the stepping back itself instead of stepping back from the body, mind or anything. Stepping back from the stepping back itself without grasping from itself. This way, it will be like the lotus flowers that discard the blossoming state. It's not just blossoming out of anything. It's discard its blossoming state. That is the liberation that helps samsara. These kind of terminologies, you must step back from terminologies. You must discard those terminologies that you use. That's the terminology that doesn't grasp for itself. It will affect to unwind altogether collectively from anything whatsoever. The stillness and indifference that is there is a habit of realms of existence, habit of an attempt to dwell with the state of mind within the state of Dharma attainment. This is the kind of realm of existence, is the blockage. Therefore, use the reminders. Discard the discarding itself. Give up the giving up itself constantly. Use the reminders that purify, which will moving out of its state of mind, releasing out, releasing out. All the upatan, delusive attachment, is emphasizing for many lifetimes, for eons of times, is a lot. Because this will just be in accordance with just upatan, repeating itself on and on. This is beyond lotus petals. Use the reminders that purify itself constantly. More lifetimes, there are so many overlays. Declare renunciation in the vocations much more, because the projecting for obtaining within the stillness or indifference is maintaining stillness or mindfulness, contemplation. That is impossible to help unwind for samsara, because it's stuck within the maintaining and the maintaining, the projection. Unwind from the unwinding itself constantly. When we take a walk with Luang Por will give the purification. It has a lot of effects, because when everyone is moving out of oneself. If sitting, there will be crystallization, drowning in oneself. Even walking, still drown in the walking, let alone sitting. They are really good in being drowned, maintaining in walking on and on. Therefore, movement with listening, discarding the movement itself, because there's a lot of effect, because there is collective brightness. If anyone who is unwinding a little bit, the whole group will help stimulate. Therefore, it's collective brightness. It's not just oneself individually or alone, but the brightening that is collective will stimulate everyone all together, simultaneously. Together with Luang Por, it affects a lot for the non-humans, including the humans. It's the same way as for the non-humans. They need to use the reminder. They need to hear. Whatever that is given here is the essence of the blessing. You can bless, definitely. He also wants to have the third eye to see the intangible beings. You will see whenever you don't have desire to see. Right now the desire is blocking, therefore it's invisible. Whether it's knowing, seeing or not seeing, use the reminders to purify constantly. Otherwise you will drop by seeing, to see whatever they do. There is no purification. Discard the discarding altogether. Therefore you are not dropping by the seeing or not seeing. The important point is that whatever that one never seen is worse. Because whenever you see, it's impossible to let go of the seeing. from that object. So is it like, am I going to purify you, or are you going to purify myself?
คนบอกว่าโอ้เนี่ยผมเห็นพญานาคตัวเป็นเลยจ้าโอ้ไม่เห็นเลยก็ถามแล้วมึงเห็นตัวเห็นมึงหรือเปล่า
You should ask, do you see the seer from yourself? You see the objects, but do you see the seer within you or not? Don't pay attention to this point. It's blocking you. Purify everything, whether it's seeing or not seeing, visible or not visible. They are everywhere. Then what? You are stuck with just seeing? That's not the way. Use the reminders. Everything is discarding the discarding itself. It's from let go of the letting go itself. Everything is not grasping for the non-grasping self, simultaneously with looking, seeing and knowing. Let's purify simultaneously with all the seeing, knowing and looking. There's a lot of the gross beings, but the subtle beings also overlaying. No difference, there are a lot of them also. You have to purify for them anyway, whether you're seeing or not seeing. Everything is from stepping back, from the stepping back itself, from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. This will help unwind for form and formlessness of samsara. Formlessness is categorized as the invisible, intangible beings. Help them as well through the unwinding. Step back from the stepping back itself. Not grasping for the non-grasping itself. It doesn't matter if you have a kind of breath coming out when you remind yourself. It will purify because of that kind of practice with the prana. Whatever you practice, there is fixation to it because the practice is grasping. Whatever you practice is kind of fixation. When you purify it, it will also release out from itself. It doesn't matter because there is a purification for it. When you say someone is strange, doing something strange, it's like there is someone who is internally strange, someone who is externally strange. Therefore, they have to see Luang Po. With everything, let go of the letting go itself, not grasping for the non-grasping itself. My from my itself. Everything is from my, which is from my itself. direct cutting within itself. Don't reject anything. Sound, smell, taste, touches, and shapes. Purify them through the reminders. Otherwise, if you reject them, you cannot bless them. Those who sing like this, they will become birds who can sing. Bless them right now. Bless them right now. Use the reminders. Uninvolved within the uninvolved itself, with everything. It will be there for those. They will be blessed right now also. Therefore, later on they can enable to cut through their deluded knowing. If you practice trying to let go, to put down, there will be a rejection, because there will be a resistance. When you hear, there is a resistance right away. That's not okay.
คือเราเคยฝึกสมาธิในป่ามาในเขามาในถ้ำมาออกมาเจอภายนอกออกมาเจอผัสสะสุดท้ายออกมาเจอกระทบทีมันก็เอาใจไม่ได้ครับ
When you are going into the cave practicing the cutting meditation, it makes you weak, because you will not be able to bear or tolerate to samsara. Be amidst everything in the way that has no identity, being in the middle of anything. Instead, in the way of mind, from mind itself, in the way of not grasping for the non-grasping itself, in the way of refrain from the refraining itself, from abstain from the abstaining itself, give up the giving up itself, let go of the letting go itself, instead of letting go of sound, smell, taste, touches, and shapes. Let go directly to the letting go itself. Otherwise, it will not letting go in the right place. How can you let go of sound? They don't take you anyway. They are not fixated to you anyway. You can ask the sounds. If they want to be fixated with you, how can you let go of it? Return to let go of the letting go itself. Then it's at the right place. Letting go at the right place. Let go from itself. This is ending right there. The Sukhothai is itself the act of letting go. This is not about letting go of the Sukhothai. Actually, the act of letting go is the Sukhothai itself. Aiming to let go or escaping from samsara is like setting up by one's own belief values, making oneself secluded from all things, but not secluded from the seclusion itself, solitude from solitude itself. Everything is from let go of the letting go itself. This is not about the act of letting go of sound and forms, smells, taste, touches. In this way, you can bless beings. If you use the letting go of all these things, you cannot bless beings, because that is samsara. You cannot run away from it. Even you run away to a cave, any cave, you are still in the middle of samsara anyway, as usual. The whole cave is your samsara. That mountains, the whole mountains is the samsara. Still amidst samsara anyhow. Wherever you are, that's all. uninvolved within the involvement itself. That's it. Helping through unwinding right away. Whether it's the sounds of humans or all beings, animals or whatever. Just come to terms with the conclusion itself simultaneously. In all options. No options, no rejections. It's from uninvolved within the uninvolvement itself altogether, constantly. You're adding much more from what is given. That becomes personal samsara. From uninvolved within the involvement itself, this will purify the options to grasp for something. It will not become the mindset to take, to grasp. It will be purified. This is not to come to an ending for sound, smell, taste, touches, and shapes. Actually, it's in the ending itself. We cannot use acceptance and rejections with sound, smell, taste, touch, and shapes, because ending is within itself. Because sound, smell, taste, touch, and shapes is the end result.
เพราะว่าเรามีตัวห้อยเขาไปเกี่ยวนะพ่อเพราะตัวบางทีถ้าจิตเราไปเกี่ยวกับเสียงเขาเนี่ยมันก็ไปเกี่ยวนะครับพอเรามาสรุปปุ๊บเนี่ยมันก็จะหายไปนะพ่อตัวไปไม่เกี่ยวหนึ่งตัวไปเกี่ยวหนึ่ง
The involvement and the involvement is proceeding.
ที่ภาษาพระเขาเรียกว่า
Purify the proceeding.
เป็นวิญญาณกับหูไปแล้วที่หลวงพ่อพูดภาษาอะไรภาษาธรรมดาครับฟังแล้วเข้าใจง่ายกว่าภาษาพระเขาเรียกว่าโสตวิญญาณที่ไปทางถ้าออกทางตาเขาเรียกว่าจักขุวิญญาณวิญญาณที่ไปทางตาการรู้ที่อยู่เบื้องหลังตาครับการรู้ที่อยู่เบื้องหลังหู
Knowing is in the background of the eyes, of the ears. That is the proceeding. Trying to mind, aiming towards mind, that's not okay. Not to do with sound, smell, taste, touch, and shapes. Mind for mind itself is not mind at the mind either. Even the closest thing is the mind. Also, not to disengage from the mind. This is not something that is difficult. So listen more often. If you use analyzing, criticizing, it's like you are adding from what is given, even a tiny bit. Using observations with whatever it is given, it's become difficult. This is not to disengage from sound, smell, taste, touch, and shapes, nor the mind.
ไม่ไหม้ต้องเขียนมันก็ยังไปอยู่ที่สู่ระบบ
To disengage from the mind, there is proceeding. Mind from mind itself. Disengage from disengagement itself. It cannot be used disengage to disengage from anything. Disengage from disengagement itself. There is auto-purification within itself. It's not disengage body, mind, or anything.
ระยะสั้นๆแต่มันไม่ยาวขนาดไปหารูปหาเสียงไม่ก็ไม่เองไม่ที่ไม่เกี่ยวกับไม่เอง
Mind from mind itself. Mind that has nothing to do with mind itself.
มันยังเป็นตัวเข้าไปกระทำอยู่
ใช่การไหม้มันยังไปไหม้อยู่ไง
If mind is still mind at the mind is like there is proceeding towards the mind.
ก็บอกแล้วไป
The proceeding.
ไหม้ตัวไหม้เอง
Mind from mind itself.
ตรงไปไหนไม่ได้เลย
You cannot proceed towards anywhere. End of the proceeding towards anywhere. End within no
ไม่
time.
เกี่ยวเองไม่ใช่ไม่เกี่ยวกับจิต
Uninvolved within the uninvolvement itself. It is not the obsession to be uninvolved with the mind or anything.
เกี่ยวกับไม่เกี่ยวเอง
Uninvolved within the uninvolvement
กลาย
itself.
เป็นไม่เกี่ยวข้องกับไป
This will turn into uninvolvement with the whole system of samsara. Just from this, uninvolved within the uninvolvement itself.
ทุกอย่างมันจะกลายเป็นไม่เกี่ยว
Everything will be uninvolvement on its own.
คัดเอาขับลงปั๊บไฟมันดับหมดทุกหลอดเลยร้อยหลอดพันหลอด
Circuit breaker,
ทั้ง
switch
เมืองก็
off
ได้เพราะคัดเอานี่มันคุมทั้งเมือง
for the whole city.
ดับทั้งเมือง
One switch, that's
สว่าง
it.
ทั้งเมืองทุกภาค
And when you turn it on, the whole city is with the light.
ไม่เกี่ยวเองปั๊บมันก็ไม่เกี่ยวทั้งหมดเพราะมัน
Uninvolved within the uninvolvement itself is the same.
พอมันเริ่มเกี่ยว
Is for the
เกี่ยวหมดเลย
whole.
ทุกอย่างก็เกี่ยวไว้ด้วยกัน
For everything. Because when you start, there will be involvement or uninvolvement for everything as well. Instantly.
การกล่าวให้ฟังแบบนี้มันไม่ใช่เพื่อให้เกิดความเข้าใจอะไร
This kind of talk is not create understanding.
ยุติ
Discard the discarding itself accordingly. Cease the ceasing itself accordingly.
ไม่ได้พูดเพื่อให้เข้าใจ
This is not to be given for understanding.
พอตัวเองไปทำความเข้าใจก็เลยทันที
Whenever you try to understand, it's already too far from what is given. It's become one's own fabrication from thoughts,
แต่ว่าให้เรา
ideas.
เตือนให้ก่อน
ไม่แค่รู้สติ
Use the
เป็น
reminders
รู้สติที่ล้าง
only
ล้างเอง
because they have auto purification in itself.
เพราะว่าถ้าเราไม่รู้สติแล้วก็มันจิตของเรามันก็จะคิดไปเรื่อยเปื่อยก่อนมันจะคิดเรื่องนู้นมาเรื่องนี้มาเรื่องคนนู้นมาคนนี้มาถ้าไม่เอาสัจธรรมก็มาน้ำดิ่งเตือน
คือไอ้เนี่ยมันเป็นรู้สติล้างรู้สติ
These are the reminders that purify themselves
ว่ารู้สติ
because other ways it becomes samsara
ประเภทรู้สติ
in themselves.
แต่ที่เธอรู้สติกันมันเป็นรู้สติ
All of your reminders, they always add up on top of themselves. They become samsara.
ไปคิดถึงเขาคิดถึงเขาเนี่ยครับมันก็เลยแบบไม่ตัดก็เลยเป็นตัณหาแบบจิตมันแบบคนนั้นอะไรก็ปรับครับ
ก็ไม่เกี่ยว
You need to shift to use the reminders uninvolved in the uninvolvement itself. Whatever you think of, whoever you think of,
ที่ไปตัดเขา
that is always fixated to that person. This is not about cutting them off
ก็
from your mind.
สมติ
This essence,
ล้างไปเลย
this conclusion of the purification is linking towards all things automatically. Everything is from not grasping for the non-grasping itself. Everything is from uninvolved in the uninvolvement itself. Continue with these reminders. the rejection and acceptance
แต่ให้เราขยัน
within sound, smell, taste, touch, and shapes will be faded and disappear all by itself.
การเลือก
The acceptance is the choosing
การปฏิเสธการ
to grasp for it. The rejection
หรือพยายามจะเว้นจากมันพยายาม
is like the attempt to refrain from it.
ฉะนั้นจึงให้เว้นแต่เว้น
Therefore, refrain from the refraining itself instead.
เว้นแต่เว้น
Abstain from the abstaining itself instead. With everything. This is not about abstaining from anything or refraining from anything.
เพราะจิตมันเลือกมาตลอด
Because the mind always choosing.
เลือกหนีเลือกสู้
Choose
เอาเลือกไม่เอามันก็เลือก
choosing to fight,
ชอบก็คุย
choosing to run away.
ไม่เอาไม่ยังเป็นตัวเลือกหรือเลือกที่จะ
Even not grasping also an option.
เลือกมาตลอด
ครับ
ต่อไป
Always choosing.
ไม่เลือก
ครับ
บอกว่าไม่เกี่ยวตัวไม่เกี่ยวเองมันก็หมดการเลือกแล้ว
Let's end all choosing. When uninvolved within the unmovement itself, it gives ending towards the options.
เลือกเอาเลือกไม่เอามัน
Whether
เลือก
and opt to grasp or not grasping, there is no need to opt out for anything. In all options,
ไม่เองด้วยกัน
mind for mind itself, it ends the options already.
แล้วพอไปตลาดมันก็ไม่ค่อยอยากจะเลือกเอาเลยแล้ว
Then when you go to the
แล้ว
market,
ไปเห็นแล้ว
you just look without buying anything
นอกจากมันมีความจำเป็น
unless you have some necessities to buy.
ดำริไว้ก่อนเลย
You have to think of whatever you need. That's all.
ว่าหลงเอา
That is a kind of assume up temporarily to get something that is necessary. The angels don't go to those people who are singing.
จิตวิญญาณทั้งหลาย
They come to หลวงพ่อ
มาหาท่านทำไมเนี่ยไม่ไปหาคนนั้นน่ะนั่นสนุกนะน่ะไปหาเด้อ
Why don't they go to those kind who are entertaining? Because they are
ในรูปธรรม
the darkness.
สนุกแต่ข้างในมืด
That's why it seems fun, but this kind of obsession is dark.